without any doubt, the greatest bodybuilding show on earth.
You don't want to miss this.
Best show in the world.
Well, I'm very excited.
Best Arnold weekend ever.
To your winner, Derek Lunsford.
Let's go.
Hey guys, Ivan here, and in today's video we got a couple of really interesting bodybuilding updates. The first thing we got is something from Nick Walker. Alright, so yesterday Nick Walker posted this physique update of his. It's a full physique update. You'll see his full physique in a moment. But what is more interesting here really is the caption and some of the comments. So the caption says, 2 weeks post-Arnold, weight hovering low to mid 270s, training 4 days a week, Dorian Yates style right now, which I doubt is really the case. Everybody says they train Dorian Yates style, but they're just, doing low volume, and that's not exactly Dorian Yates style if you ask me. Dorian Yates style is just going crazy, balls to the walls, insane weight, insane intensity. I don't know if Nick is doing that. He's too slow with the movements. He's really controlled. It's kind of, it's not exactly as hardcore as Dorian, but maybe low volume and high intensity, what he perceives as high intensity, then yeah, I get it. He says also, no direct cardio, just morning walks on a treadmill, a low intensity, and walks throughout the day. Goal is to maintain and hold solid condition and ramp up the calories as high as I can at a nice steady pace. This comment, this part of the caption is very interesting. We'll look into that in a second, but the first thing, of course, is going to be this comment that is kind of going around right now on social media, and people are speculating that he's actually going to take a break for a full year and not do the Mr. Olympia. And yes, Guy also did say that he is kind of tired, he competed for too long, he wants to take a break now, but I don't believe for a second that Nick is actually going to take a long break. Why? Let's first read the comments. So this guy here says, now when you are a part owner of Morphogen Nutrition, did you get this feeling you switch your focus more on business and competitive career is on second plan, still important, but you see a bigger value in investing your time to business? And he replies, not really. I've just been in a prep for over a year, LOL, which I don't think people realize, so I'm just chilling for a minute. For a minute, guys. Pay attention to that. So, no, I don't think it's going to be a long break. I don't think he'll skip the Mr. Olympia for a third time in his career. And his sole goal is to win the Olympia, and now he kind of proved to us at the Arnold he can still probably do that. So he's going to do a show, guys. Come on, later in the year. People are calling him out for being lazy, for not competing more. I understand why he skipped Detroit. First of all, he could have lost the overall to Wesley Vissers. He doesn't want that bad image being out around his name, right? Losing to a classic guy. Nobody wants that. No open bodybuilder wants that. Let's be real. The other thing is, he did really well at the Arnold. So even if he showed up in Detroit at like 90%, he probably could have won, but then that will be the last photo of him on stage. And as they say, you're only as good as your last showing. So why would he leave his last edition to be some 90 or 80% version of him? Of course he wouldn't do that. So he wanted to take some time off to relax, and he's going to compete again. Now, yes, he did say he's not going to be competing at the New York Pro, but guys, that's Nick Walker. How much can you trust this guy? Come on. He's switching coaches every single day. He's changing sponsors like once every 2 months. He's saying that he doesn't have a coach. Well, he actually has a coach. He actually had 2 coaches this prep that nobody knew about. So don't trust this guy just based on his word. His word means nothing to me. Let's be honest here. I like him. He's funny. He's an interesting guy, for sure. A monster as a bodybuilder. I love his physique. But if you talk about Nick Walker's integrity, it's very low. Low to non-existent. So come on, him saying that he's not doing the New York Pro doesn't mean anything. I'm betting that he's actually going to do both New York and Pittsburgh. And he's going to switch his mindset next week once he's actually finally recovered and rested. Somebody also asked an interesting question. Why ramp up the calories? You guys remember from the post, from the caption. Why ramp up the calories when you are already big enough? Why not maintain and work on a better core vacuum work? And his reply is, because it's important to get the body back to a healthy state. And I don't like this response, guys. Is it really healthy for him to ramp up the calories as high as possible? He's not doing that because of that. You know, he's ramping up the calories because he still wants to grow and get bigger. At this point, it's definitely a wrong move. All he really needs to do is just work on his core, as this guy here says, on a vacuum, and just bring up a more of a streamlined physique. Just lower the size of the midsection, and that's it, really. He's been big enough since 2021, right? I mean, getting bigger is definitely fun, and it's definitely interesting for us to see an even freakier version of Nick Walker, but does he need that to win the Mr. Olympia? No, man. No, he definitely doesn't need to do that, but that's his mindset. That's what Nick is. He's always been like that, and that's why he got so freaking massive, and he'll probably reach the next level. We might see Nick Walker at like 300 pounds on stage at one point. He was like in his 260s at his show. Now he's 275, so in crazy conditions still. So, yeah, this guy is just a freak, a monster, not exactly the most hardworking guy when it comes to doing the boring stuff, but the stuff that he enjoys is just like training hard and eating a lot and doing a lot of gear. He's up for that, but as far as like practicing posing and vacuums, nah, man, that's too boring for him. So I don't think he's going to try and do the one necessary thing he needs to try to do in order to win the Mr. Olympia. But it is what it is. It's his life, his choice, his career. He wants to do it his own way. And the final thing I was also really confused by is the fact that he still didn't scrub his body after the show. And if you guys compete, you know how it works. I mean, like, yeah, personally, I don't take my Pro-Tan off for a couple of days, for like 3 days maybe after the show. I mean, I take showers, but unless you scrub your body fully, it's not going to come off that easy. And yeah, that's fine. You know, you can take some photos in the gym, maybe do a photo shoot, some videos here and there. But after at least like a week, you should do a full scrub of your body. What I do personally is I take the shower gel and I take some sugar, white sugar, and I scrub it off my body, and it's all done in one day. But apparently Nick Walker is okay looking dirty like this. This is just stupid. Like having, you know, parts of your body that are yellow and the rest of your body looks pasty white. It just doesn't make any sense, but I guess that's also one part of Nick's laziness. Let's be honest here. I don't think there is anything good about having these yellow marks on your body. So yeah, do it, Nick. Go take a shower, take a full scrub, get rid of that freaking color of your body. Anyways, guys, again, I don't see Nick Walker pulling out of the Mr. Olympia. Not this year, man. Come on, no way. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be doing the Pittsburgh Pro, but we'll see about that soon enough. You guys tell me down below, what do you think? All right, the next thing we got is Mike Sommerfeld's coach talking about Mike's current weight and whether or not he's going to be able to compete at the Arnold Classic UK and make weight for that show.
Yesterday, his body weight was 6 pounds over the weight. No, about 5 pounds over the weight limit. So he's about so he's about 3 pounds lighter now, I would say, than that point. 3 or 4 pounds lighter now than he was at that point going into Columbus, Ohio.
That's great.
But he was lower than that.
Now, yeah, some of you might say that it's confusing that Neil doesn't know what his weight is, as Muscle Disc actually says here in the comments. But come on, I mean, to remember his exact weight while doing this interview here, but I mean, come on, he doesn't need to remember his exact weight at every moment of the day. I believe he wasn't sure about it, but based on what Neil is saying, it seems like Mike is gonna come down this time around and actually make the weight for Classic. But what Neil actually didn't say is whether or not Mike finally learned about the time zones. Does she know now that UK is in a different time zone than the US? If he still doesn't know that, then he still might miss the weigh-ins or something like that and won't make it to the show. But yeah, as far as making the weight, he's going to do it now. He's not going to try and come in bigger and act a little innocent like he doesn't know that his weight cap is lower. They finally got this guy. Now he's going to have to do things fair. Hopefully, he's not going to try to do anything funny again, to cheat the system somehow again. I don't know what else could he do, really. His weight is already measured, and it is what it is. His height, actually. So he needs to make his weight, but you never know with this guy. Who the hell knows what next he might pull? Hopefully, we'll actually see him on the Arnold Classic UK stage. We'll see about that. Now, as far as the other very popular and very successful classic physique guy, quote-unquote, Josema, we got this physique update from him from the back, his back relaxed pose. And here, he absolutely looks like a freaking open bodybuilder. And I'm seeing a lot of comments, people talking about him as he already made a transition to the open class. As far as I'm aware, guys, you correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, he never really announced that. As far as I know, he's still doing the classic physique, and he's waiting for his child to be born right now, so I don't think he's making any plans of switching to the open. And also a couple of weeks ago, actually 6 weeks ago, he did say that he's, yes, 120 kilos, and his plan is to get to 125 and then to die getting into 103 kilos, which is going to be his classic physique weight cap. Maybe not the smartest approach to get this freaking massive for no reason. He actually went beyond that limit. He's actually 128 right now, guys. 128 kilos, and at this point it's really difficult to imagine him actually coming down and competing in classic, because this does not look like a freaking classic physique. Now the thing is, he used to compete in the open first, and then he went down to classic, so he was probably already bigger than this, and he still went down to classic. So yeah, this does not have to mean that he's going to the open, and I don't think he's gonna do that. Could he be a good open guy? Absolutely, man. It's probably even healthier for him to be an open guy at this point. But I don't know, man. Like, he's already a very good classic physique guy. Do I see him winning the classic physique Mr. Olympia? I do not, because of his structure. I don't think he can do much to change that. He's already probably the biggest, the freakiest, but his structure is the way it is, and he doesn't have quads. But if he switched to the open and added another, like, I don't know, 20 pounds of muscle all to his quads, all to his legs, then he could actually be a really good open competitor. So if I was him, I would definitely make that switch, man. If he's 128 with this kind of freaking condition, already shredded at 128, then going to the open just makes so much sense. We'll see if he's actually going to do that, but I don't know, guys. Maybe he actually announced it at some point. I just missed it somehow. If you guys know. Now, as far as the real classic physique competitors, we got an update from Wesley Vissers. Why do I say he's a real classic physique competitor? I'm saying that because even if there were no weight caps and you were selected for a class just based on your look, I think Wesley Vissers would always be chosen as a classic physique guy, because he just has that classic shape and he doesn't have potential to be a good open guy. We saw that on the Detroit Pro stage, the King of the New York. He would have to add like another 50, 60 pounds of muscle to be competitive against a big guy like Mofuda, especially in the legs. And that's not happening, especially at the height of like 6'3" or 4", whatever his height is. So, no, this guy is definitely staying in Classic, and right now he is basically a week out of the Arnold Classic UK. He's in the UK right now at Dino's gym, and here are his physique updates. So, yeah, I mean, he looks good, but I'm wondering whether he's going to be able to peak again, because he already did 2 peak weeks. I mean, I don't know what kind of peak week approach he has. What exactly did he do for the Arnold, Ohio, and Detroit? But if he did some diuretics or at least some light dehydration, it's gonna be difficult to get him to be dry and peaked well for the Arnold UK. But you never know, some guys keep improving from show to show. Maybe he didn't go too crazy for those 2 shows because he didn't have really tough competition. So now that he's going against Mike Sommerfeld, he might actually ramp things up, try and come even drier, harder, which he can definitely be. His conditioning wasn't that great, especially from behind, especially in the lower back, but the glutes and hamstrings too. From the side, he was shredded, and from the front, he was, lean enough, really full, but from the back, it could have been drier and harder. His lats look insane here, man. Like, I don't know what he did to those lats. I mean, I know what he did. And I don't think it's SEO, but he's probably shooting all of his gear there. And that's what happens, guys. Milos Sarcev advises that to everybody. I worked with Milos. He suggested me to shoot all my gear to my lats, because if you do that, you can get some really good results. Your lats are going to get actually big, and it won't look weird. Also, because they're big muscle, stretchy muscle. It works out really well, and I'm sure Wesley is doing that as well, and it's actually working out pretty nicely for him. The only problem with that is if you are putting so many needles in your lats, you're creating damage to the muscle, and you might tear it training it to one point. So it's not exactly the smartest thing to do, but you gotta shoot your gear somewhere, man. I suggest glutes most of the time, a little bit to the lats and shoulders here and there, but yeah, I think he's doing everything in his lats because they're looking insane, like crazy wide, and they were not this wide and big last year. So West is looking good right now, and I don't know how well will he nail the peak for this show, but if he doesn't, I can definitely see Mike Sommerfeld beating him. If both of these guys are on, who do I have winning? I would still say Mike is a better bodybuilder, more complete of a physique. However, I don't know if they'll let him win because he's trying to make fools out of the IFBB, acting all stupid. He doesn't know that his weight cap is lower, and then also missing the time to apply for Detroit Pro, saying he doesn't know about the time zones. I don't know if the guys from the IFBB are gonna take him seriously at this point, and there is definitely a strong possibility of them punishing Mike if it is close. If he destroys Wesley, he's going to beat him, but if it is close, Wesley still might have an advantage because he's a good player. He's a clean player. Mike is a dirty player, and he's definitely not a good representation for the sport, for the division. Also, again, he's kind of disrespecting the IFBB and the Arnold Classic as well, and everybody, really all the other Classic physique guys, by trying to compete at a heavier weight. So I don't know if they'll let him win unless he destroys this show, which I also think is probably very possible. I don't like his personality. I don't think anybody who is sane does. But as far as his physique, it is absolutely phenomenal. So, yeah, it's going to be tough for Wesley to beat this guy because he's probably going to look crazy, man. This was his look, I think, a week before the Arnold Classic, and this was a crazy look. He's going to be smaller than this, but you can see here that he definitely has some room to lose some water weight and maybe some fat and still look pretty damn good. Not this good, not this full and round and basically like an open bodybuilder that he actually is here with his weight, but still very good. And I still probably have him winning over Wesley. The next thing is something really interesting, guys. It's about Keone Pearson. And I'm really glad that the Beyond the Stage TV caught this. Now, they are the kind of a news page that is trying to stay very objective, to please somebody like Steve Weinberger, not say their opinion, just share what is happening and let us make our own minds. but sometimes they are giving us clues, and if you know what to look at, you might just see them, and I am here to point them out to you guys. So this one is funny because you guys remember recently, Keone basically said that his goal is to be the underdog again, to recreate his old underdog mindset, which makes zero sense, zero whatsoever, because he is the most dominant 212 guy. Nobody comes close. 212 is not interesting because of him. Even last year, being completely off, he still won. He beat the best Sean Clarito of all time. So, no, this guy is not going to be an underdog, and I don't think he's going to be able to make himself believe in nonsense like that. And I don't know if he watched my videos talking about that or he realized by himself, but he's finally understanding this. And he changed his mindset. And he says here, different mindset, different results. Time to separate levels. I am the pressure. So now he realized that he is the guy to beat. He is the pressure, and he needs to change his mindset. Being the underdog won't make any sense. He tried to go from the top guy to the underdog, and now he's going from underdog to the top guy. Who knows? Maybe he sees he's not progressing well in the next couple of weeks, and he decides to go to the underdog mentality again. Maybe another mentality can find something else. I don't know what else is out there, guys. You can tell me, but yeah. Keone Pearson is back to his champion mentality. And the last thing I got for you guys is something I don't want to make a big story out of, but I think it's good to share awareness of this. Lee Haney, the legend of the sport, the only bodybuilder that got 8 Mr. Olympias like Ronnie Coleman, is in need of a kidney transplant, and he is looking for a living kidney donor. So hopefully he actually finds a living kidney donor, and gets to live the rest of his life normally with a new kidney. Now, as far as why is this, well, he says that like 26 years ago, they told him he's going to have to do it. And it happened finally. He actually managed to go a really long time without doing it. Did he do this by abusing gear like a maniac, or something else was the reason? I'm sure you're thinking about that as well, but who knows, guys? I mean, all these bodybuilders, all they're doing is definitely not healthy, and if you're not careful, you're going to have some health ramifications. But he was a Mr. Olympia, guys, for 8 years. He actually retired before turning 30, so I thought he did it the right way. But again, maybe it's something genetic, maybe it's something else. It doesn't really matter. What matters is he needs a new kidney. So let's try and spread awareness of this, so hopefully he figures it out. Oh, and I almost forgot, guys. I wanted to show you Sam Sulek's physique update. And what is interesting about this one is that he says in this video, by the way, he's also at a Dino's gym, and he's posing here with the owner of the gym. And what he says at one moment is that he's going to try and go for better fullness this time around, because he felt like he was too depleted at the Arnold Ohio, and he wants to try and be bigger and fuller for the Arnold UK. Do I agree with that? Do I think that's necessary? I wouldn't say so. I thought he was pretty big and full and really conditioned. I thought he nailed the peak. Here, he doesn't look very conditioned. Here, he looks like he's definitely behind. If you compete to tomorrow, this would not be good, but this is before doing any kind of dehydration, so I'm sure he's going to get drier. But if he tries to be much fuller and bigger, he might just miss that peak. He says after the show, he looked much bigger in the gym and fuller, but that's normal, man. And you don't always look better on stage if you are just super full. You usually actually don't. You're better off being a little bit flatter on the flat side, and on the stage with those bright lights, with a pump, with a tan on. I think you're going to look bigger if you are really dry and really separated and really hard compared to being too full. Full is awesome for the photo shoot in the gym, but on stage, you need to be dry, man. So I hope he just brings maybe a little bit better fullness, but not a crazy difference in fullness, because it's not going to help him. It's going to be a bad decision, but maybe he needs to learn that mistake by himself on his own. Also, he's talking about the fullness and conditioning and the peak, but he's not changing his posing, which is the problem. He's doing exactly the same way. He didn't get a posing coach, and that is a huge mistake. If he wants to improve as a classic guy, he needs to learn how to pose better, how to pose as a classic physique guy to show his strengths, hide his weaknesses, and just do it in a professional way, be presentable. He is a pro, guys. Don't forget that. He's not an amateur anymore. He's representing the IBB Pro League, and he needs to act like a professional. They gifted him that 8th spot at the Arnold Classic. He did not deserve to beat those two guys. Maybe he beat one guy, but not both of them. No way. The case might be the same at the Arnold UK, but if he actually wanted to look presentable and to look like a pro, he needs to learn to pose and definitely needs to learn how to do the quarter turns. But it doesn't seem like that's a big concern for him. Just like Nick Walker, all he cares about is bringing the best conditioning possible and the biggest fullness possible, and posing is something in the back of his mind, which is definitely a wrong mindset if you're trying to be a good pro, but it is what it is. You guys tell me down below whatever you think about whichever part of this video you find interesting. And that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the freaking channel, guys. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon, all the best, and bye-bye.